A man of vision. Vision. Ooh, Lord. Start the introduction and read, sister.
The prophet Isaiah is a significant figure in the Old Testament. The word prophet originates from a Hebrew word meaning to announce. Thus, a prophet is God's mouthpiece or spokesperson. Go ahead. In his book, A Popular Survey of the Old Testament, Norman L. Geiser describes a prophet as the human instrument through which God declared his message to men. A prophet, then, is one through whom God speaks. Consequently, the prophet has insight or vision into the will and purpose of God.
Now, a prophet is God's mouthpiece. It said, through whom God speaks. The prophet has insight or vision into the will and purpose of God. Now, when we look at this morning, the prophet has insight into God's will. Anyone that's a spokesman for the Lord, well, you know what? I'm just going to let the book read. Keep reading.
The word vision has become a popular term among Christian leaders in the contemporary church. However, popular business jargon has replaced much of its original meaning. Goals, objectives, and action plans based on theory or trends are not always synonymous with a God-given vision.
See, we have replaced this thing. This contemporary, they say they have a vision of God. They got a vision. It didn't come from God, and it's not about God. All of these things, my God, contemporary, it's talking about this. Woo, this is a really good lesson, saints. It's going to break some things down to us about having vision from God, and really, are they really from God? Read. Let's go a little bit further.
Furthermore, a godly vision that reveals God's will and purpose is crucial to an effective ministry.
Now, when you get a vision from God, you can't alter it. You can't deter it. Because people don't want to hear it, you can't alter your vision. What has happened now, man has totally altered God's plan. And this book is going to tell this is really bad because people don't know now. And the ones that's supposed to have the vision from God, God's mouthpiece, we have totally deterred God's vision. When you take down, you deter the vision of God. You're supposed to preach this thing when people don't want to hear it, when everybody walk out of the church. Preach it. Preach it. It's God's vision. It's God's plan. But when we look at this lesson this morning, okay, let's go, because we're finna get into some things. The call. Okay. Let me tell you something. When you're called of God, just read the call.
Isaiah's effectiveness as God's servant grew out of his own personal experience with him.
Now see, you're going to have a personal experience with the Lord. Yeah. The only way God is going to use you or call you to do a thing, you're going to have a personal experience with the Lord. Now we can get up. Oh, let the book talk. Read. Listen.
How could he preach repentance convincingly to others unless his own life bore fruit of repentance?
You can't preach something to others that you are not doing effectively. And that's what people are trying to do now. You can't do this thing effectively unless you are first partakers of the fruit. To be an effective witness, you're going to have to be first partakers of this thing. People are not effective because they are preaching and teaching something they are not living. And they're messing over it. That's why everybody is changing God. That's why everybody is altering God's message. You know why? They're not living it. You can't preach and teach this thing effectively unless you're living it. Why everybody else is changing, getting off of it, altering it, and they can't live it. They are not living it. Yes.
Community Baptist.
Uh-huh.
When you call to do something, you're not gonna be able to. It's not a popular message. And
Uh-huh.
you say things that, cause I was thinking the whole time, Elder could just get up and say something encouraging. But every chance you get, and I was like, okay, when you call, people just not gonna like. I mean, your message is not popular. You go against the grain. You can't change it.
You can't change. If you call, yeah, everybody say, Elder, just get up there and say something encouraging and sit down. But Elder, is not. You have to do what you are called to do. Because you cannot alter it. We cannot change. God, right there. We cannot. And we think the elders are, oh my God, here he go again. Elder, come on, pastor. Come on now. You going to make them dislike us. This book told you. Y'all, this book from the session, this is a good lesson. It's who you are. Be who you are. Who you are, and you got to be. Mm-hmm. So is he.
Okay, I feel like I've got the word of God and a message from God.
Uh-huh.
That's what makes the message powerful.
And you cannot deter your message. You can't come off of it, yeah? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. And everywhere we go, we need to be what we say we are. Don't come down for. You gotta see, people come down because they're not what they're saying they are. They can't preach this. They had to change it. They cannot preach this. You can't preach unless you're really doing it. So people can't preach this. That's why everybody done changed holiness. You cannot do it. You can't preach it unless you are living it. What God say I am. Mm-hmm. And that's why when we go somewhere, don't change for nobody. Look at your neighbor and say, don't change for nobody. Sister Bernard, don't change for nobody. This lesson got us. You don't do what the other people do. You're different. You know, read, listen. Woo.
The same is true of everyone in Christian service. Our effectiveness begins with our own personal experience with God.
See, your infection is with your personal experience with God. If your personal experience with God, my God, that's where your effectiveness come from. And people cannot preach this thing. They're not effective with the holiness message. They don't have a personal relationship with God. They are not living it. Whereas pastor, see, y'all see the difference here. You only effective is what you're living. That's why people can't do this. I can't do this. There's a reason. Read. Ooh, listen.
Let's see. Our effectiveness begins, with our own person. Paul proclaimed that the Corinthians were epistles known and read of all men.
Keep this in mind. We're epistles known and read of all men. When people see us, they expect things. From house of prayer. And you show them what we are. We are known and read of all men. Everybody know what we should be. Everybody know what House of Four, an Apostle Forward member supposed to act like. They know how we're supposed to act. They know how we're supposed to dress. They know how we're supposed to. You don't alter that for
nobody.
I don't do that. You don't alter that for nobody. It's the effectiveness that's in you. It's the dedication that's in you. That's where your effectiveness come from. Read, listen.
An anointed life ablaze with godliness and passion always stands out from the crowd.
You stand out from the crowd. You're different.
I'm not the
Don't let nobody alter that. Keep your different.
Yeah.
I don't care what they do.